All right, so welcome everyone. I'm Andy Jones and I am the content editor for Plaid's online education program, Let's Paint. And tonight we are doing a simple little painting of a heart, but there's a lot of good art information for you. And we will be using the FolkArt Pure Artist Pigment paints. These are a new formula of paint that's available at Michael's from FolkArt. They are a very heavy-bodied acrylic paint. They have an extended open time, so you can work with them a little longer than ordinary acrylics. They have a lot of pigment in them, and I think if you use them the way I'm going to teach you how to use them, you'll have a great time painting with them. So tonight we are painting a complementary color scheme. So if you are familiar with a color wheel, complementary colors are those that are opposite each other on the color wheel. So this one is a red and green color scheme. You could do orange and blue, you could do purple and violet. Those are just a couple of the more popular ones. But this is going to be an exercise in complementary colors, and I'm going to teach you some blending techniques, and then we're going to have some fun with some paint pens. So first thing I want you to do is to take a pencil and just sketch a heart shape in the middle of your canvas. So that's the first thing that you need to do. So I'm going to give you a moment to do that. So just draw whatever side is easiest for you and then try to mimic that on the opposite side. It does not have to be perfect, but you want to give yourself a good thumb's width or good knuckle of your thumb on either side of your heart, because you don't want it to be too close to the edge, but you also don't want a tiny heart in the middle of your painting. So just a pleasant sized heart right in the middle. So I'll let you sketch that on, and then we will start our painting. So while you all are doing that sketching, I am going to put some titanium white on my palette. And you can see that that white didn't go anywhere. It's a very, very thick paint. So I'm also going to put out some Viridian, and it is a very intense kind of blue-green color, or some people might consider it like a bottle fly green, but it's a beautiful, intense kind of blue-green color. And so that's what we're going to be using for our green this evening. So give you just another few seconds to paint your heart. And then we're going to start talking about how much paint do you need to put on your canvas. Because this is a fun background technique that we're going to do. We're just going to use two colors on the background. We're going to use white and Viridian, and we're going to blend using a crisscross motion. So I'm going to show you that in detail, but just getting you teed up for what's going to be happening. So I think that you all have had time enough to sketch a heart onto your canvas. So I'm just going to reach over, and you don't need to put water on your brush. I'm just picking up some paint, and I'm picking it up from the edge of the puddle of paint, and I'm moving it out into what I call a loading zone. So there's plenty of paint here on my palette, and I just work this white paint into my brush so that I've got a brush full of paint. If you just dab a little bit on there, you're only going to have paint on the outside of your brush, and you want it in the bristles. All right, so I'm going to just start right next to my heart on the outside of the heart, and I'm going to paint some white on there.
And Andy, real quick, we have a lot of people, sorry to interrupt, we have a lot of people that are painting with regular FolkArt tonight. So
okay.
Absolutely, and you can just paint along. So as long as you have a similar color, if you want a purple heart or a yellow heart, you can absolutely use the FolkArt paint with this. This is just a brand new paint that Andy actually helped create as part of our Let's Paint program. So we just want everybody to get familiar with it, but FolkArt will work great with this also.
Yeah, just make sure that you put on plenty of paint so that you have time to work with it. All right, so I'm just going to brush off the excess paint off the outside of my brush, and I'm going to pick up some Viridian on my brush, and I'm brushing this right onto the canvas and right into some of the white paint. So you could see that I'm blending this color right up next to the heart, and I'm just patting this color on. If I need to pick up some more paint, I'm going to pick up some more white and just add that to the canvas. And then I'm blending one direction and then the other direction. And I'm putting pressure.
What are you using, Andy?
I'm using a 3/4 inch flat brush here. So I'm pressing on one corner and then the other corner as I'm blending. So I can pick up some more white paint, then press on the corner, press on the other corner. And this way you create this kind of soft aqua color in the background. You see how that's changing and blending as we're moving along? So just pick up some more white and just pressure on one corner, then the other corner. And we're just spreading this out now. If I need to, I'm just going to pick up more white, go right next to my heart, brush on some white, spread that out. And if I need to, I can pick up a little bit more Viridian and just brush that on. You are in control of how light or how dark your background is. But the overall effect that you want is a softly blended background. You want to see the brush marks. You want to see the tonal differences in the background. So once again, I'm just going to pick up some white. I'm going to go right next to the heart. Then I'm just going to brush that out a little bit. I'm going to pick up some Viridian, apply that, just blend it in, blend, blend, blend.
And Andy, if they don't have the pure, would it like a turquoise or a teal be a good match for this?
Yeah, or you could use sap green plus Persian blue or Prussian blue if you wanted to mix a different color. But any kind of dark teal color that you have would work just fine. Just putting on some color here, just softening it in, blending on one corner of the brush, then the other corner. If you start to put paint where you don't want it or your color's traveling someplace you don't want it, wipe the brush off on your paper towel and then blend again. The important thing is that you've got enough paint on the surface so that it stays wet long enough for you to blend it, and then you want to soften the color, but you don't want to make it all look one harmonious color in the background. You want to see some lighter areas and some darker areas. Now this real dark here that you see, don't worry about that yet. We're going to do that in just a few minutes. So just kind of bear with me here, putting on a little bit more white, picking up a little bit of Viridian, adding that in. The FolkArt Pure Artist Pigments really do have an extended working time so that you have more time to kind of play in the paint. And that's good for people who like to continually putter and just keep kind of working their paint a little bit more. Some people are fast painters and they put the paint down and leave it alone and they're happy with what they get. And so you could do that with them as well. It just gives you a little bit more time to work. All right, so we have just about painted in our background. You really want just to look at it and make sure that there's not anything that is too obnoxious, that you don't have a big dark patch of dark green somewhere or a big area of white somewhere. You want everything kind of nicely blended, but still seeing some of the brushstroke work. So that's what we're looking for right now. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to complete that because we're doing really good right now. So just make sure you get your whole canvas covered. I just noticed some blank spots on mine. So I'm just moving some paint into those areas. And then in a moment, I'm going to dry this really thoroughly. So I'm going to give you another minute to kind of catch up with me. So I'll bring this up for a close-up. So you could see there are brush marks that are visible. That's perfectly fine. You just want to kind of move those colors around in the background to create a soft mottled color behind your heart. And anytime I would paint this painting, it will look different. I can't do it the same way twice, no matter how hard I try. It's just always going to come out looking a little bit different. All right, so you get another minute. I'm trying to be nice tonight. I know that when I've taught these classes before, that usually it's just I'm going too fast, you're moving too fast, slow down, slow down. So I'm giving you a whole nother minute here to work on your background, and I probably won't ever do that again. So enjoy it this time. But painting should be fun. I know that usually after one of the Monday night paint classes in the on Tuesday, I really start to see lots of the paintings that you've done. Kathleen, do not wash out your brush. Just set it aside. It's not going anywhere. It'll be just fine. I think people put their brush in water way too much when they're painting. You don't need your brush all wet. That doesn't help anybody's situation. But okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to dry my background. So if you've finished your background, then turn on your dryer right now and dry yours as well. So there's going to be some heat gun noise here. Yes, you can use a hair dryer on hot. If you don't have a hair dryer or a heat gun, then you need to just kind of fan your painting to make it dry. That is right, Eve. I did not wet my brush. I've not put my brush in water. I've not thinned down my paint at all. I know that's really strange to many of you, but it works for me. And it will work for you too if you just let it. All right, so my painting is dry, but it's pretty hot right now. So I'm just going to let that cool off just a little bit. And I think on your supply list that I had asked for you all to have some FolkArt floating medium, which is a nice clear medium to work in. And of course, I'm here in the studio and I don't have any, but that's okay. I'm going to show you how you can do that with just some water. So I have a clean brush here. I'm going to use the brush that I did my background with to paint my heart. So I don't want to rinse that in water. So I've got a clean brush here and I'm going to use some clean water. Just going to dip my brush in water. I'm going to blot it here on my paper towel. And then I'm just going to brush a little bit of water down here, basically on the right-hand side in the lower right quadrant of my canvas. So this is over my dry background. I've just brushed a little bit of water on there. And I'm going to pick up some Viridian here on the corner of my clean brush. And when I blend this on my palette, you will see that I'm creating a little bit of a gradient in my brush. So it's darker over here, and then there's no paint over there. So dark green here, no paint over there. And then here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start at the bottom of my heart, and I'm going to pat this color on right next to the heart. And then I'm going to come back the other way, patting this on. And I'm just creating a little shadow, and I'm just going to blend this out a little bit. Just softly blend that. I'm going to wipe my brush on my paper towel, and I'm going to come back on here, and I'm just softening this dark green away from the edge of the heart. And so what I'm doing is I'm just creating a nice shadow, and I don't have to worry about my paint underneath being wet, because this is just letting me add that nice little cast shadow on top of my dry background. Okay? So I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. And this area where it doesn't look real smooth, I'm going to cover that up when I paint my heart. So this was just a damp brush with some Viridian picked up just on one corner of the brush. And then you just create a gradient on your brush. And we just added that right down here on the lower right quadrant of the heart to create a nice cast shadow. So give you a couple of minutes to do that. And then we're going to begin to add the complementary color of green, which will be red, which will be making our heart nice and red. So tonight you get plenty of time to catch up. So if you have any questions, you can type them in, and either Kira will answer them or she will relay them to me, and I'll try to answer them for you. So while you all are finishing up adding that extra Viridian shading, I'm going to put some red light and some yellow light out on my palette. We're using very few colors tonight.
Somebody's asking, is it okay to use glazing medium?
You could use a glazing medium. The floating medium is really nice because it's not going to add any drying time to our process. But I just did mine with just a little bit of water, which works out perfectly fine too. But if you are familiar with the glazing medium and you like to use that, then by all means, feel free to use it. I'm not here to stop anybody's artistic expression. I mean, I want people to paint, and I want people to have a good time while they're painting. And so that's perfectly fine with me. I think painting is one of those crafts or hobbies that it's good for a lifetime. All right, so I'm going to give you just one more minute on this extra shading on the background, because I don't want you to spend forever doing that, because you don't need to. Can you use normal paint in this paint? If by normal paint you mean any FolkArt acrylic and the FolkArt Pure Artist Pigment paint, then yes, you can intermix them just fine. And then you can clean up with soap and water. That's very good. If the paint seems very stubborn to come out of your brush, you can also, during our quarantine, using a little hand sanitizer in your hand will also help remove any excess acrylic paint from your brushes. All right, so I'm going to now mix what I would call a light red. You all might call it pink, but I'm mixing some red light and some titanium white together.
Andy, people have some more questions about the medium. Just like,
okay, fire away.
Mix it with your paint, or just give them a quick.
Yeah, you can, usually what I do is I put some medium out on my palette, and then I just dip my brush into it as I need it. So that's how I normally use it. Is that the question they were asking, or was it something else?
Yeah, I think they purchased it, so they just want to make sure they're using it right and using it.
Yes, the floating medium will let you extend your paint, and it'll make it a little bit more transparent. It does not make the paint stay wet and workable longer. The FolkArt blending gel will make your paint stay workable longer. But for this little bit on your painting here, the floating medium works well, or even just a little bit of water is pretty good. All right, so here we go. Here is Andy's big tip and trick for this evening. All right, so I had my brush full of white paint, and then I picked up Viridian and I blended a background with this paintbrush. I have wiped the excess paint out on my shop towel, but I've not put the brush in water. So I'm still not putting the brush in water, but I am going to clean my brush out in my pink mixture. So this was red light and titanium white, and I am working that color really into the brush. I'm pressing the brush out, spreading the bristles out, and really filling that brush with this pink color. Then I'm going to fold my shop towel over the brush, pull and wipe that excess paint out of the brush. Right, so this is essentially called neutralizing the brush. I am changing my color from green to red just by loading the brush and wiping out the excess paint. So here's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to pick up my pink paint because the green's already been taken care of in my brush, and I'm going to begin to fill in my heart shape with this pink color. So I'm going right along. Let me make sure that you all can see this. I'm going right along the outside edge. And just filling in a little bit. Not filling it in solid, so work with me as we're doing this. Just want to make sure that your heart has a nice, clean edge to it. And we've got really, really nice coverage with this pink color. All right, then I'm going to imagine, well, I'm just going to draw it on here for you. So we're going to come around to this little part of the heart here, and I'm just extending that down like that. Okay, that's pretty easy to do. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit more red in my brush. So still pink, but this time it's just a little darker pink. And I'm going to put that right next to that line that I created. And put that on this side of the heart. And then we're going to do some fun stuff in just a second. Just getting some more color here on my heart. Okay, what I'm going to do next, I'm going to wipe my brush again on my shop towel. So here's how I wipe the brush. I lay the brush down and I fold the shop towel over the brush, and then I pinch and pull my brush and I clean the paint off my brush. That way I don't have paint on my hand and my brush is now very, very flat again. All right, so I'm going to pick up some white on my brush. So it's going to make a lighter pink. And then I'm going to put that on this side of the division that we created. And I'm just going to brush that back. And I'm going to make crisscross motions. And I'm softening that back into the original pink color. And you see how we've already created a really nice highlight on our heart. So that wasn't difficult. So I'm picking up some more of my original pink color. And I'm just going to brush some of that on at the bottom of my little highlight area, and then pat that color on.
Andy, when you get that part done, can you hold it up closer to the camera?
I can do that in just a second, Kira. I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
Because I know everybody needs to see what's going on. Okay, so let me hold that up. There you go. All right, so I will stop and tell you that this little bit right here bothers me a little bit now that I'm seeing it up close. That's not softly blended. So I'm going to wipe my brush off on a shop towel. So you always have to look at what you've painted, and if something isn't right, you have to stop and fix it because a problem doesn't correct itself. So I'm going to just pat and soften that a little bit. And if I need to, I can add some more light pink to it and soften that in, which is what I just did there, and that looks pretty good. So blending and softening until it looks softly blended. That's one of the lovely things about the FolkArt Artist Pigment Paint is I've been working on this for a little while, and I can go back and add some color to it and soften that out and blend it and not have any problems. All right, now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to pick up a little yellow light on my paintbrush, and I'm going to just mix that in with the pink color that I made earlier. So I'm turning my pink just a nice shade of coral, just by an addition of a little yellow. It just changes that color from kind of pinky pink to a little bit of an orangey salmon color, which I think is going to be nice. And I'm just going to put some of that out here on the edge of the heart and blend, blend, blend that back in, soften, soften, soften. And now,
can you use this paint to pour with? I wouldn't, I mean, you could if you mixed it with a pouring medium, but I would stick to regular FolkArt to pour with.
yeah, you're going to work yourself into a frenzy trying to get this paint. First of all, you're going to have to thin the paint down, and that's going to take you a while to do because this is super thick paint.
Yep.
And it is meant to be very, very thick. So that is by design. And then by the time you've thinned it down, you will have lost interest in pouring with it. So I mean, this was not designed to be a paint to pour with. Yep. This is a paint to paint with. All right, so I'm just taking some more of that coral color and I'm cleaning up the edge of my heart and just blending that in. And you don't have to add this coral color, but I thought since we were using so few colors, to have a little bit of an orangey coral color on this heart would be kind of a fun thing to do. And it would add some interest to our painting so that it wasn't just green and pink. Okay, so that's how we blended our heart. So we've got some interesting coral colors going on up here, and we've got a nice kind of highlight on our heart. And it's very simple. So we've got a nice contrast here of our dark shadow and our corally color in our heart. So we're going to give you a couple of minutes to catch up on that because I want you to take time to blend and create a very pretty heart for your Valentine, whoever that might be. I think my Valentine is probably sacked out on the couch. So she'll wait for Daddy to get home. And she will act like nobody has been in the house to feed her tonight. When I know she's had a full bowl of food. So
Andy,
take your
cleaning up. People are asking if they can see it.
Yes, hold it up, sure.
And this paint is very thick. So
yeah.
That is part of adding the medium or water to it.
Yes, you really only added the water just for making this extra dark shadow. The paint itself is very thick and you can blend it just fine without the addition of any water or medium to it. That's one of the beauties of it. And it is very, very thick. And I think some people are used to a thinner acrylic. And so they start to use this paint and they think something's wrong with it. But it's a very heavy bodied acrylic. And so I can do some thick textured effects with it, or I can thin it down with a medium or water and do some transparent effects with it. So by virtue of it being thick, you have the ability to do more and different techniques with it. So it's a paint that I love working with. So I'm going to give you just another couple of moments to finish blending your heart because I don't want to race you. Thank you, Steffiana. Glad that you are liking this for Valentine's Day. We're gonna do something a little bit different in just a minute. I'm going to dry mine again. So while you all are finishing blending your heart, I am going to dry mine completely dry, make sure the whole painting is completely dry. And Kathleen, I don't usually put any water on my brush. I did one time tonight, but that's it. I paint with thick acrylic paint and I just don't add much water to it. It gives me a very different look than the people who paint with a lot of water. And I can see some of your chats that you all are typing in. And I have to say that I'm sorry this is out of your comfort zone, but I can't remember who just typed that. I think her name was Kathleen. But what I want to tell her is that that's where growth takes place. Was my canvas primed? Yes, it was a pre-primed canvas panel. But growth takes place outside of your comfort zone. So if you are only painting what is comfortable for you, then you are not growing and learning new and exciting techniques. Every time you try to learn something new, it should feel a little bit different. It's just like if you play a musical instrument and somebody hands you a new piece of music to play, if it's not something you've played before or heard before, it's a little bit outside your comfort zone and you're stretching to grow. I will say that I did leave piano lessons far behind. That was good for a little while, but not for a long while. So, and I always thanked my mother for never forcing me to practice. She always told me that I'm the one that had to face the piano teacher. She didn't, so if I didn't practice, it was all my fault. All right, so we have a dry canvas now. All right, so we've done the painting, which for some of us is a more challenging thing, but now we're going to do some fun stuff. And I know that many of you do not consider yourselves fans of the liner brush. Lois, I will tell you that unless you purchase a raw canvas, if your canvas looks white, it is already primed. I would say that probably 99% of canvas panels and stretched canvases that you purchase in the arts and crafts stores are primed. It's very difficult to find unprimed cotton duck these days. So if your canvas looks like it's got some white paint on it, it is primed and ready for you to paint with your acrylic paint. All right, so paint pens. If you don't have one of these kind of pens, you can use your liner brush and you can pick out some bright lime green paint, any shade you want to. I am using a fun paint pen. Michaels has a big assortment of paint pens for you to choose from. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to charge or load up my paint pen by pressing the nib on a piece of paper to let the paint flow out onto the nib. And then my paint pen is ready for me to essentially just doodle on my canvas. So what I did was I made a mark just like that, just kind of a little zigzaggy mark.
This is great too, because you could really personalize it with these paint pens. You could write your name, a message on it.
Yes, you can. I'm going right along the outside of the heart with the green marker over here. And I'm going to continue. This is completely up to you how you decide to do this. And then I thought, because it's just the way my little brain works, that I wanted to do some scribbling. So you could just scribble, which is what I did. You could, write your Valentine's name in there, or you could write "I love you," or whatever message you wanted to send to your Valentine. And then I used a lime green on here because I thought that would be a nice contrast to the blue-green color that I used in my background. So I was just looking for something a little bit different. You could, of course, do this in white if you wanted to. And then I've picked out a hot pink color, which is, again, not the color of the heart at all, but it's just a fun, bright color. And so I'm going to load that or charge this paint marker by pressing on the nib, letting the nib fill with paint. And then I'm ready to do some doodling over here. So
And
I'm
a
just
chalk
going
marker
to,
would work. Someone's asking, a chalk marker will work. Blech.
yes, you can use anything you want to. Even a liner brush filled with paint can be used. All right, so I'm just outlining a little bit of the heart over here. And I could go ahead and just outline this whole half of the heart. And then once again, my scribbling instinct took over. And so let me make sure I can put this up here where you all can see it. But I just did some big scribbling across there. And then if one scribble was good, then two, of course, had to be even better. So it kind of looks like a little EKG marker there, or like whatever that is that they always check your heart with at the hospital. So you could do one of those across there and tell your Valentine, you make my heart beat faster, or whatever you want to do.
Silly,
But I thought,
silly Valentine's Day pun.
yes. So, and I'm so good with all of that stuff. But I thought it was fun to use these paint markers, not for the whole thing, but just to add some fun little embellishments here and there on your heart. And if you wanted to, I mean, you could take this and just, continue these scribbles right on off of your heart if you wanted to do something like that. This is up to you. You can add as much or as little of this kind of doodling as you want to. I just thought it was a fun thing to add to a little painting, because we did try to sneak a lot of kind of art into your little fun lesson tonight. So you learned about softly blending a background. You learned about adding an additional layer of shading on there. We blended our highlight onto our heart. We changed the color from pink to coral with the addition of a little bit of yellow to this. So lots of fun stuff that got snuck in there that you may not have realized you were learning tonight while you were just painting a fun little heart. But I think this is one of those things you could apply these techniques to any sort of thing that you wanted to paint. It's not just for a heart. So are there any additional questions that we have? Okay, then make sure that you all go shopping at your local Michaels store, shop at Michaels online for delivery or curbside pickup, all that fun stuff. I encourage you to post your painting to the Let's Paint with Plaid Facebook group, and it's always fun to see what you all have painted there. So this, I think I have not rushed anybody tonight. I have tried to make this very easy. Next month, we'll be painting something that will be a little more fast-paced than this. But this was a fun little Valentine's project for you. So Kira, is there anything else that you think we need to add?
Yeah, real quick, I have to pick a winner, and I want to show you next Monday's paint night. So next Monday, we're going to be doing, and I can't see myself on canvas camera here. I don't know where I'm, here we go. So we're going to be doing a geode painting, and we've done some of this. Somebody mentioned pouring, but we're actually going to be painting this and using FolkArt acrylic and then some glitterific. So a lot of really fun technique with this. It doesn't look like it, but it really, some beautiful blending and layering and glitter. So we're going to be doing this next week. And then again, we'll get back more into some traditional painting, but we thought this was fun, change it up from Valentine's Day. So we'll be talking all about geodes and glitters and layering and blending. So that'll be really fun. I'm going to be hosting that. So make sure you sign up.
Fun.
And,
that looks really, really fun.
Yeah, it'll be a really fun process. So, you know, we did it in blue, but, you know, grab your favorite colors and you could do probably a couple actually that night. So it'll be really fun. So I'm going to pick a winner.
Pick a good one.
Oh, I know. I hate this part. I love giving away stuff, but I want to give away to everybody all the time. Give me a second here. I got to scroll. So once I pick you, you need to go to our Plaid Facebook page and message and say that you won, and we will get a hold of you and mail your paint out.
Is that the Plaid Crafts Facebook page?
Crafts, yes.
Okay, just trying to make sure, because if they don't put crafts in there, they won't get the right place.
Yep. Okay, Margaret's son. Margaret's son, I can't see you.
Oh, there's Margaret's son just sent a whole string of emojis.
Okay, I like to be able to see. I can't see you. Okay, well, I picked your name from the comments, so thank you. Go to our Plaid Crafts Facebook page, direct message us and let us know that you won, and we will get you your product. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Michaels, for joining us. It was a great evening. Andy, thank you for a little last-minute Valentine's Day craft. And
I'm glad everybody seemed to have fun tonight, and they seemed to be not rushed. Love that. It won't happen again.
And we will be back on Friday. We've got some more fun garden Mod Podge crafts, so definitely check that out also. So bye, guys. Have a good rest of the week. I'll see you all on Friday.
Bye.